It's one of the scariest and most unexpected situations we can face. Gunmen lurking the halls of a school, office, or government facility with the intent to cause chaos and death. An event like this can be nothing less than catastrophic for the victims and community at large. Active shooter emergencies have become more prevalent in recent years. That's why it's important for local, state, and federal officials to work with first responders and the community in planning and training for these events.
Being prepared and trained, well trained, will save not only lives of citizens, but lives of public safety personnel. So we train religiously, and this is a very important exercise in that respect, because there's no place else in this city where 4,400 people are congregated at the same time.
We built upon our tabletop exercises and our functional exercises, bringing our partners together. And today was the ultimate test to make sure that we tested those capabilities to make sure everything was in place. I can say that it will take more work, but this was a very good starting point, and we do believe if something were to happen, we could coordinate together to make this a success. Time and time again, it's hard to see state, federal, and local agencies work together in a level of this magnitude to come to a resolution where everybody can work together, everybody communicates with each other, and also have the expected outcomes if something were to happen.
Here, the stage is set for a catastrophe. 2 active shooters in a government building of more than 1 million square feet. Many employees, staff, and civilians have been shot, injured, or are in hiding, as one shooter has already made his way through a cafeteria, wreaking havoc. First responders were notified of a situation in the building, but exercise controllers specifically left out information about the shooters and an explosive device. They wanted to see how those first arriving at the scene would handle the situation. Once the first law enforcement officers realized this was more than just a disturbance call, they started following the plan in place for such instances. They called for additional law enforcement, fire, and EMS, and then began working to secure the area. Rescue teams, comprised of additional officers and emergency medical personnel, followed behind and treated and removed any injured persons. SWAT teams from a variety of local agencies arrived on scene and worked with federal law enforcement officers to secure the building. Making their way through the building, sweeping and clearing each area, they eventually located the shooter. He had taken hostages in a small office where a standoff ensued. Law enforcement negotiated and dealt with the deranged criminal and eventually defused the situation. To further test the capabilities of responders, the exercise included a scenario in which a second shooter was able to evacuate the building with victims and escape to another location. Law enforcement was not far behind. They secured the area using established procedures and made an arrest. Once the victims and bystanders reached a safe location, local emergency medical services personnel treated them. Police also used this safe location to identify those evacuated and question witnesses. Authorities kept everyone in this area until the situation was deemed safe.
There hasn't been an exercise of this magnitude, of this level, with all of our partners coordinating it together. And we're looking and hoping that our federal partners as well as our local partners will be able to take this information back to their agencies to help them coordinate another exercise so that we're prepared for a situation of this magnitude.
I saw an enormous amount of commitment to the job. They really thrive on doing something well. All in all, I was more impressed than I was worried. Let's put it that way.
We know that it was a lot of agencies, multi-coordination, and we wanted to test some of those core capabilities to see how command and control, communications, and verification and access were to be handled, especially at a level where we were dealing with multiple agencies, state, local, and federal agencies all coming together. And that was the big takeaway, to make sure that we all work together for the end result and goal.
I am on Homeland Security as a committee. I chair the committee, the subcommittee on emergency preparedness, response, and communications. And so I know that training is critically important. We heard from the Boston police commissioner after the Boston Marathon bombing. They had trained for bombings just a few months before the Boston Marathon bombing. And they saved so many lives. 244 people were injured, 4 people lost their lives, but hundreds could have lost their lives after those bombings. And it's because of the incredible work you all do day in and day out.
I think we all, from the federal government to the city of Lawrence, came away with a positive thing here today, and we're all safer because of it.
This exercise was the first of its kind and brought in community leaders, planners, and first responders from all levels of government. From local police, fire, and EMS to federal law enforcement officers, all agencies had hands-on, interactive training for handling these unfortunate situations. With training exercises like these, our local, state, and national emergency responders will be better prepared to save lives in the gravest of circumstances.